He say, follow me.
The harvest is plentiful, labor is few. The retelling's here to share the good news of J-E-S-U-S.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Retelling. Excited to see y'all again and super excited to get into this story of three amigos, if you will. They are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah.
Now, we just had a little blooper reel where I messed up the names and said I may get tongue-tied at one point, but I'll try my best.
I have faith that she won't.
Thank
I
you.
have faith that she's going to make it through without stumbling.
I appreciate your faith. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego lived in Judah, but the people of Judah were forcefully deported into Babylon.
They were exiled.
They were exiled 70 years. So for a very long time, I'm sure morale was low. They wanted to go home. And with this deportation, they are also expected to pick up on the customs and the traditions of the people of Babylon. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar, which is a mouthful.
That is. Try to say that fast 3 times.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Ooh, we did it, y'all. Y'all go ahead and try to say that fast 3 times. Because the way it's spelled, that's not exactly what I would have said when I first read this story. That's not the name that I would have said.
Yeah, in my notes here, I have King Nebi, King Nebu, King N, because it is equally hard to spell as it is to say.
Mm-hmm.
So King Nebuchadnezzar is the king of Babylon, and he actually sees really good things in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are very wise men. They make good choices. So he appoints them to his kind of like royal court, essentially. He brings them into the fold, which many of the people of Babylon do not like because they see these, let's say, foreigners kind of being in better positions than some of they are. So there's a little hateration.
Absolutely. 3 Hebrew boys excelling over me, and I am a native of the country. What do you mean? What do you know?
How dare. Now, King Neb, if you will, gets this idea to build a giant golden statue.
Of who? Himself.
The man loves himself.
Yeah, talk about ego. He's got a big ego.
Yes, very much so. And when I say big, I mean this thing was 90 feet tall. And mind you, they don't have like cranes. They don't have a lot of our modern construction equipment today. So I'm sure a lot of work went into this. And when it was done, it was his pride and his joy.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because it was all about him. So he gets this idea that whenever music is played, people need to bow down and worship the statue. So in Daniel 3, chapter 4, we have, "Then the herald loudly proclaimed, 'Nations and peoples of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace.'"
Wow.
So, yeah, when we said he had a big ego, he had a big ego. And if you betrayed that ego, he literally was ready to burn you alive.
Yeah. Actually, the song that had played when you were supposed to bow was "Got a Big Ego." That was the song that was playing. Like, if we were thinking about like current times, that would have been the song that would play when everybody was supposed to bow down.
Right on a harp.
And the lyrics.
Now, mind you, our 3 amigos, they did not want to be in Babylon. They are not there by their choice. And many of the people who were forcibly deported are expected to take on the customs of the people of Babylon, whether it be religious, whether it be the social hierarchy. They are supposed to conform, whether they want to or not.
Yep. Fall in line.
Yep. Fall right in line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what happens after the statue goes up and the music comes on? Obviously, most people are not trying to get burnt up in a fiery pit. So most people are falling down and worshiping as the king has commanded them to do. However, However, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego,
The
see,
3
they want
Hebrew
to-
boys.
yes, our 3 Hebrew boys won't do it. They won't do it because they are honest to the true and living God, and they know that it is just not right to worship a false idol. So they say, respectfully, no. Respectfully, no. Yeah. Remember them haters I was talking about? The haters. And these are actually astrologers. And if you want to, you can look in the book of Daniel in chapter 2. You'll see some of what was happening there. So these are the people that snitch. And snitches get stitches as they should.
As they should.
They snitch on the 3 men and say, hey, they're not bowing down. Look at them. They're not performing. Now, it is thought that they may have had beef. Because again, they're mad that these people are in a position over them. They have better standing than they do. But also in chapter 2 of Daniel, they were ordered to interpret a dream for King Nebuchadnezzar. And guess what? They could. They could not get it done. And Daniel himself actually comes in and interprets that dream. So it makes them look foolish. So I think they're feeling a little bit of humiliation. They are feeling jealousy. And then they see that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are not conforming to these rules. So they snitch. They snitch like kids on the playground.
And Daniel is another Hebrew boy.
Who pissed them off. So they snitched. And in 12 it is, but there are some Jews whom you have sent over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. So they didn't even just say they're not doing the thing. They're not falling down and doing the worship. Like, they are kind of like making it juicy. They're saying what they need to say to get King Neb upset.
Right. I mean, but they weren't doing it anyway. I mean, they already weren't doing those other things, right? Because they did not want to worship anything other than the one true God, the God of the Hebrews. And so for that matter, they were like, we're not doing any of it. Especially this, worshiping an idol of gold built in man's image, your image. Nah, we'll pass.
Big pass.
Hard pass.
Big pass. So the snitchers get to snitching, and they make it up real big, and they say, you know, they're not just not doing this thing, but they are disrespecting your name. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take this? And as you can kind of see from his track record, no, the king Nebuchadnezzar was not going to take it. If he was willing to throw anyone that defied him into a furnace, he was not just going to say, oh, okay, you 3 get a pass, it's cool. No, he was not happy. So
he was like, you're going to put some respect on it. Put some respect on my name.
With a capital R. So he decrees that these 3 men need to be thrown in the furnace to teach everyone a lesson, which is that you need to follow what the king has said. Now, he asks Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego about this situation, about what the snitchers have snitched to him. He wants to hear it firsthand, and he also kind of gives them an out. So I do think he had just a little bit of a heart for them, because he gives them the chance to say, like, we did wrong, but now we're going to go ahead and worship the statue of gold. They do not, however. They say, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even in 18, but even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. Now, this to me was very classy, very demure, if you will.
Very cutesy.
Very cutesy. Because they said, like, we don't have to defend ourselves. God is going to go before us and do it. And they did this very respectfully, too.
But bold. That was bold.
Yes.
Very bold.
And I love that they said, God will protect us, but even if he doesn't,
Even if he don't.
he's still good. He's still omnipotent. He's still the true and living God, even if we burn up in
Yep.
this furnace.
And that's sometimes very hard for us to digest. Like, when we hear about the God of love and mercy and grace, then we expect him to like save us from all things, trials and tribulations,
Yes.
all the time. Like, as if we should never go through it. And that's not the truth. But even if he doesn't, he is still a good God.
He's still good.
He is still a good
Still
God.
worthy of praise.
Yes.
And I think that in this situation, well, let me speak for me. I would have been like, God, I'm not liking this fiery furnace thing. So if you could just get me out of this, like give me an excuse note for work or whatever you have to do, I would appreciate that, Father. They're not praying to not go through this, so they're not trying to avoid this trial. And mind you, they're in this place that they didn't even ask to be in. There have been trials for the past 70 years. But they say either God will deliver us or he won't. But he is good regardless.
Right. They feel like, we not new to this, we true to this. No,
Period.
we ready.
Now, these actions, of course, made King Nebuchadnezzar big mad. Real big mad. So he says that, and he tells his people, his soldiers, to heat up the furnace 7 times hotter than it normally would be.
That's very hot.
That is very hot. Now, I don't know, and I'm not encouraging any type of pyromania, but if you have ever been near, let's say, a candle, right, and gotten your hand a little too close to it, you can only stand that heat for so long before you got to pull your hand away. Or if you are like me and love the fall seasons and having a little fire pit going, got the s'more situation set up, you know it can be cold outside, but if you're near that fire, it's going to keep you nice, warm, and toasty.
Very hot.
Yeah. So 7 times, like you made fire hotter than fire. Fire hotter than fire.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
You can't even heat up your oven 7 times hotter than, like, I don't know what was the highest degree on it. It doesn't even matter. It was 7 times hotter.
It was 7 times.
And it's going to tell you how hot it was. I'm like, go ahead, tell them how hot it was.
The fire was very hot. And I also would like to point out that at this time, they are wearing their royal clothing, right? They have robes, they have turbans, they have trousers, all sorts of things that they are kind of, I was going to say swaddled in. I don't know if swaddled is the correct term. They are clothed in.
Fully
right?
clothes.
Fully
a lot of
clothed.
clothes.
Yeah. So mind you, because when I pictured this, where this story is taking place is modern day Iran. So I know it's hot there. Hot. Like hotter than I probably could even imagine. And they're wearing all of this clothing because they're part of the royal court. And I think that for King Nebuchadnezzar, this was all part of it, right? If you're not going to conform, then I'm going to make a fool of you. And I'm going to make a fool of you in your royal clothing. I got you. You're no one. You're going to burn to a crisp in your nice robes because you have not listened to what I have told you. Now, back to how hot this fire was, Bisa. It was so hot that the soldiers who opened the doors to push our 3 Hebrew boys in died.
That's hot. That's so hot.
They were not in the furnace. They opened the doors to the furnace and got burned up.
And that's crazy because they probably worshiped the idol. They died just doing their job.
Imagine that. And I bet King Nebi was just like, well, it is what it is because you're going to push them boys in there. But they pushed them right into the fire that was very hot. Now, when they are in this fire, King Nebuchadnezzar is shooketh because he sees not these 3 men in their very flammable clothing burning up, but he sees 4 people in the fire. 4. Now, the math might not have been mathing for him at first because Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
That's 3 people.
That's 3. It's 3. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4
In the fire.
In the fire. So in 25, King Nebuchadnezzar says, Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound because they had been tied up, unharmed, and the fourth looks like a son of the gods, or an angel. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. And these 3 men exit the furnace, and they have not a single hair singed, not a single thread burned, not even the smell of smoke on them.
That's wild.
Because y'all remember I said, I'm a fire pit girly. I love it. I'm not sitting up in the fire, right? I'm not trying to burn up. But I know just sitting away from that fire, my hoodie's going to smell like smoke. That's actually one of my favorite parts. But they don't even smell like smoke. Not a hair on their body was harmed.
And they had on a lot of clothes, which means they burn up faster. You would think you go in there, everything's going to catch fire real quick because they have on a lot of clothing.
Right?
But
it's 7 times hotter. They were not making flame retardant clothing in these days.
nope.
So you would have just thought they would instantly just bye. But that's not what happened. And it's so miraculous that King Nebuchadnezzar, Mr. Ego himself, calls their God the Most High God and calls them out. So their faithfulness brought honor to God. Their love in God, he was able to see that. Even if he didn't immediately fall to his knees and convert, which would have been beautiful, he sees like your God truly protected you through the fire. See where that episode title came
Through
from?
the fire.
Right on through the fire. So after this, King Nebuchadnezzar says, Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut into pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
You got promoted again.
They got a bigger promotion. And oh, I just know them snitches were heated. Like, they thought they were getting them out of their positions. They thought maybe they would be promoted into those positions. But they survived the fire. King Nebuchadnezzar is acknowledging their God as being a true God. He's also saying, like, nobody better bully God. Don't say nothing bad about that God.
Right.
And
But,
then,
go ahead. Go ahead.
and then they got a promotion. What you said?
I was going to say, what's crazy is, right, they don't just say, you know, this is our God and he's going to fight for us. They say that even if he doesn't fight for us, we will not bow down to any other God. So that's bold, right? But then on top of that, Nebuchadnezzar recognizes the one true God, but that's it. He just recognizes him.
Just like that.
He didn't worship him. He's not saying he's going to follow him. He's just like, okay, all right.
That was
and
true.
right, but because I guess when you're already polytheistic, right, then you they might have said, you know what, he's another God that we acknowledge, right? Not this, we're gonna disperse from all of our other gods. We're just gonna throw that away and just worship the one true God. That wasn't what took place after this event, which you would think. You would think, because I don't think any of their gods had, well, there might have been events where they felt like these gods that they were worshiping showed up in some mighty way.
They had like gods of the sun, gods of the water. So they might have had a good crop season and said, oh, that's the god of the sun. But no.
Yeah. But no God, like he said, no God has ever saved or shown up like the God of these 3 Hebrew boys. But still, they refuse to like fully recognize, worship, and honor the one true God as the one true God. They will still be a polytheistic.
Yeah, because when I saw the math start to not be mathing anymore and that fourth one popped up and they came down without a problem, I feel like that would have made me be like,
I converted.
Maybe I got this wrong. Maybe. I digress. He essentially protects them. He promotes them. He protects them. He says, nobody in this kingdom better talk about their God because that God is good, even if he doesn't recognize or worship himself. So, there are a couple of points from this story that I would love to go over with y'all. The first being that faith doesn't flinch. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't negotiate. They didn't rationalize. They stood firm even when everyone else bowed, right? They could have been like, oh, well, we're not going to get on our knees, but we'll do like a half thing. Or, well, I don't know if they curtsied back then.
Maybe the women. I don't know about the men.
I just pictured 3 men curtsying it. Yeah, it didn't look right. Right? They could have argued that there was a way to keep their faith and also be true to the Babylonian faith to stay out of trouble. But they said no. Even with death looking them in the eyes, they said, no, there's one true and living God, and that is the God that we worship. Yeah. And that boldness, that faith is just so refreshing to see.
Yeah. And I can't say that I would do, like, can you say
No.
that in the midst of death and adversity, that is the firm stance that you would take, knowing full well, right? Because you're a believer. So knowing full well as a follower of Christ, like, I know who God is. Mm-hmm. And so whether he shows up or not, I'm taking this stance. Now, I want to say, I think that I would not have folded. I don't think I would have been like, yeah, I'm worshiping the idol just to save my life. But just by human survival, like, we want to survive. Yeah. So we would fight for that,
it's our
right?
Nature.
It's definitely in our nature. So I'm just like, how would I, in the midst of that type of situation, respond? Would I respond like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, just having faith in God and not having faith that he'll save me, but just knowing whether he saves me or not, I know and understand full well who God is, and that is enough.
That is enough. That is enough. The second point that I have is God's presence is in the fire. So the miracle isn't just the fact that these guys survived, it's that they weren't alone. God didn't keep them from the fire. And like I said earlier, that probably would have been my prayer. Like, if we could just not do this, that would be lovely. But he did not have them avoid that trial, right? And a lot of it was a trial because they were in exile. They are in this land where people aren't always friendly to them, even though they have the favor of the king. And they have to go through this. They don't bow. They don't take on the customs. But even through all of that, and even in going into the fire, God is there. God saves them from it. So it's not just about the fact that they survived, but it's that God's with them. God sends his angels down to protect them. So we can't always avoid the trial. And I know. Sometimes we want to. Sometimes I want to. Things happen. Life be a life thing.
All the time.
Real hard. But that doesn't mean that God's not with us, right? Like, sometimes we go through a hard time and we're like, my God, why me? Why aren't you with me? We start looking at the Footsteps poem, like, well, where are you? God is with us in those hard times. He is right there with us. He didn't tell us that this life was going to be easy, but he did tell us that he's going to be with us. He's going to love us. And regardless of what's happening in our earthly lives, he is still good. He's still to be praised.
Yeah. And it was for his glory. It wasn't so much for the benefit of, hey, I can save them, but the glory of who he is. Like, the beauty of what was recognized in that whole situation is they realized and acknowledged who God was. Nebuchadnezzar realized and acknowledged who God was.
A non-believer had a very real encounter with God. You'll love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. And another point that I would like to make is that you can shift the atmosphere. That just sounds like something that one of the church elders would say. A shift in the atmosphere. I feel a shift in the atmosphere, right? Their faith turned this king who's a pagan, who's polytheistic, worships multiple gods. They turned him into a witness of God's power and how good he is. When you stand for God, people will notice.
Mm-hmm.
They might not become believers. They might not have a life-changing revelation, but they notice. Even I think sometimes people will see the way that God works through his believers, and they'll think it's charisma or charm or other things, but it's God. It is God. It is God being good. So our actions, our faith can shift the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
You'll love to see that. Now, I do have a question for reflection, and that question is, when have you had to stand firm in your faith, even when it wasn't popular or easy? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I got to think about that. Okay.
All right. So I have a story for y'all, and it's a doozy. So in a former life, I like to say, former life was like 5 years ago, I was a public school teacher, and I had formed a friendship with another teacher in the building. She's not a believer. She had a really fun personality, and we did a lot of work together in supporting our seniors, right? Like we organized prom, graduation, homecoming, all of the senior activities. So that was a lot of time outside school, hanging out with each other. So we became quick friends. Now, as we got to know each other better, she invited me to a party, if you will. I can't 100% remember what this party was for. I don't remember if it was a solstice or an equinox party. I want to say it was the autumn equinox party. And that's like when the day is equal, right? The word equinox. So there's much sun as there is nighttime. Now, I had no other context for this party, and I quite honestly just thought it was a time to get together. If you tell me we're going to have a party, I'm like, cool. There's going to be food, there's going to be music, there's going to be dancing, there is a good time to be had. Like, sure, I'll go to your little equinox party. Why not? Y'all, I should have looked this up first. I should have done some research. And maybe it's because I'm the type of person, I don't need a big reason to have a get together, right? Like, hey, it's Labor Day. Let's make some burgers. That's me. But this was like kind of a Wiccan celebration that they had going on.
Wait, what?
I didn't know, y'all. I did not know. I didn't know. So I get there and things are kind of normal at first, right? They got food in the smoker. There's a little fire pit in the back. Different snacks and things to be had. I see my friend. I dap her up. Everything's cool. But then as more people arrive, and this was at her sister's house. So as more people arrive, her sister's talking about, we're going to write down like things that have bothered us and throw them into the fire. And that's not outwardly, sure. Why not? We can do that.
Yeah.
And then they started talking about Ouija boards and dancing around naked. It went left.
Sounds like my cue to exit.
It went left real fast. And it was my cue to exit. I had to pull my friend to the side and say, hey girl, I don't know what made you think this was for me, but it's not. These Wiccan things, I don't know if they were Wiccan or not, right? Like, it could just be, I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't even know these celebrations happened. I did not know what I was getting myself into. But I had to say, I don't play with no. The only spirit I want to talk to is the Holy Spirit. That's it. So this is not for me. And thank you for the invite, but please don't invite me to anything like this ever again. And we were at that point in our relationship where we just were starting to go from coworker to friend. And that could have been a breaking point, and I did not care. Because I'm not gonna do these little witchy activities with y'all. No, ma'am. No. And I think she did understand, and she didn't realize that it would be, I believe she called it offensive to me, right? But a doozy. A doozy. I think if I ever write a story about my life, that's going to be in there. Me thinking I'm going to a barbecue and instead I'm getting Ouija boards and let's dance naked.
That's crazy. The fact when you said the only spirit I want to commune with is the Holy Spirit, and He don't require you to be naked. So that's a plus for me.
Right? Like, if you would like to speak to the Holy Spirit with me, let's do that. But as for no.
That's wild. I don't have anything like that happens to me.
Praise God.
But we had to kind of stand firm in my faith, and I don't know if this is like a stand firm moment, but there was a time when I was trying to get my life right. And so I had taken on a vow of like celibacy. And in doing this and having certain conversations with certain friends, I'm like, yeah, I'm not partaking in that. One, God says I shouldn't. Two, granted, I had already done those things, but I'm like, it had not benefited me in any way where it just didn't benefit me. There was no longevity in that. So I'm like, to me, it was poor decisions. I mean, it feels great in the moment, but like after it's over, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where that's happened and you've been like, you felt like, oh my God, your body burned and you needed this. And then it happened and you were like, I could have done without that. So I was just at a point in my faith and my walk where I was just like, there's just certain things I don't want to partake in anymore. And so fornicating, having premarital sex was one of them. And hanging with my friends and talking about certain things, I'd be like, oh, that's nothing I'm doing. They were looking at me like I had 6 heads, and they were trying to explain like, oh, and then the whole like, nah, I can't wait till marriage. I need to test the car before I drive it off the lot and all that jazz. And I'm like, there were conversations where I'd have like, man, do you trust that God would provide all that you need? You know what I'm saying? And a partner, and not feel like you have to go and see for yourself or you have to make these things happen. And so like, although I understood and I had already tasted the nectar of that life, I'm like, I didn't want to go back, because sometimes it's like such sweet nectar. But I was like, I didn't want to go back to that. So I was just standing very firm in my decision to be obedient in how God calls me. I'm like, the goal is to wait till marriage. That's what I was talking, and I was like, I want to wait till marriage. And, so that I think in that moment, like I could not be swayed.
I respect that.
To say like you should do otherwise. I was like, no, I'm gonna follow God on this, and I'm standing very firm on that. I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but sex isn't everything in a relationship. I think it's part of, you do want to be compatible in the bedroom with your partner for life, but I was like, that's not everything, and some things can be taught, and I feel like some things can't be taught, right? So I feel like if I had to give up something, right? If I had to be like, oh, my husband is this, and this is the one thing that falls at the bottom of the totem pole, I think that's fine. Because again, some things can be taught. You can teach people how to respect you. You can say these things and people can grow and learn from that. But like when it comes down to people's character, when it comes down to like people's work ethic, when it comes down to like integrity, those things, either you have it or you don't. And I think people can be taught work ethic, but you have to want to do better. Because I remember my boss said, those things can't be taught. And I'm like, I hear you and I understand what you're saying. Like, either you have good ethics or you don't. But I feel like some people just don't know. And if you just don't know, you can be taught it. But if you know better and you just decide that you're just not going to do better, then yeah, I understood what she was saying in that part where, like, it can't be taught. So,
And I think, too, we're such a sex-obsessed culture. Right, it is
overly.
It's on social media. It's in every movie, even in kids' TV shows. They got boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, baby, you have homework to do. What do you worried about? What?
And those intimate scenes be long for no reason. Like, I know how this goes. Why do we need to show this for 5 minutes?
They don't even have anything to do with what's happening. Like, you can watch a movie about the end of the world and everyone's hooking up, and it's just like, so are we gonna do something, or
like we try to survive or not?
Yeah. So when you tell people like, no, I'm abstaining, I'm waiting for marriage, they will look at you like you are absolutely insane.
Like I have
lost
6
your
days.
mind. Yeah. Yeah. But it's what God has asked us to do, and it requires some self-control.
It does.
Maybe a lot of self-control. But it's just one of those things that you can pray on and say, God, you've told me not to have sex before marriage, so let me honor you by holding true to that.
And he has. Like, he strengthened me in that. I didn't feel like I was missing out. I didn't feel like I was deprived of anything. Like, God met me and strengthened me, and I didn't. Like, I felt fine in my decision and glorifying and honoring God with my body.
So, yeah. Sometimes we have to do things that'll have other people looking at us funky, but I feel like I've said this before, we're set apart as Christians. We can't live in the ways of the world and still want to worship God. You can't have multiple idols, the gold statue, you can't do that. You cannot. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did not say like, oh yeah, we'll bow down to this, and then when we're in our personal lives, we'll give thanks to God. No, they said, we are not doing this. Period.
Yeah. In private or in public. Like,
at all. So as Christians, we do have to be set apart in our actions. We may not have to do, or we may not get to do the thing that's popular, but it's okay because we got God.
Yeah. And the popular thing isn't the good thing. Like I said, it's only okay in the moment sometimes. I know we've all been there. If you've been on that side, then you've been there. Like, it's not the catch me out. Like, there's so many things, and God puts these things in place not to like keep us from having a good time. Like, I just want you to have the boring, miserable life. No, but He's like, how many of those things breed things that aren't good for us when it comes to STDs, when it comes to unwanted pregnancies, when it comes to many things,
mental health,
like many things, broken hearts again and again and again and again. Like, when it comes to those things, like, God doesn't want those things for us, but the choices that we make, sometimes we create our own calamity. And so when God creates these barriers, instructions, if you will, these rules to follow, it's not so that we lead this boring life and just don't have fun. It is to protect us. Right. It is literally to protect us. And so we should be acting a certain way, talking a certain way, even thinking a certain way when it comes down to who we say we follow. If you say that you are following Jesus, then you should be acting like a follower of Jesus, and Jesus modeled what a follower of Jesus should look like. And He used the 12 disciples to help model that as well. So I'm like, the ways of the world are enticing. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They're enticing, but having the will and the strength to say no, I'm going to choose the path of the righteous. I have no choice but to be in the world, but I don't have to be of it.
That's right. That's a really good way to put it. Okay. All right. Now, I looked up some Bible verses about what it is that we have to see about faith and God's protection, because those are big things to get from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. In Isaiah 43, verse 2. It says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. So that is very relevant, of course, because we just talked about the fiery furnace. But in this, I'm really getting that God doesn't promise us that we're not going to be without trials, right? It's when you pass through the waters. It's not, you will not pass through the waters. It is when you walk through the fire, not when I keep you away from the fire. So there's going to be trials. That is for sure. It's going to be hard at times, but God is still to be praised, and God is still with us, protecting us, trying to direct our paths. The next verse that I have is from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. And this one actually had me singing. This one is, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are saved. You used to sing that one at church?
I know, what's her name? Miranda Carr is in one of her songs.
Yes, blessed be the name of the Lord. So yeah, the Lord is a strong tower. We can run into it and be safe, regardless of what is happening in our lives. We can always call on the name of God, and He's always going to be there. He's always going to be listening. A strong tower, a firm foundation, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now this one is a little longer. This is in 1 Peter 1, verses 6 through 9. In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer in grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy, for you are receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls. So Peter is talking to believers who are suffering, who are going through a hard time. Maybe you're grieving, maybe you lost the job, maybe your family's falling apart. And he's essentially saying, count it all joy. We have an inexpressible and glorious joy in God. The end result is about heaven. It is about what is coming after this life. It is not about what's happening here and now in our earthly trials. Mm-hmm. So I pray that you will look up those verses and just lean into them when you are going through a tough time. And I've also said this before, but it's just so important to have a church family, to have people you can call up and say, hey, this is happening. Will you pray with me? Can you talk me through this? Because we are not meant to do this walk alone, family. We're not. So, yeah, just going to ask y'all, what is your tea? What's your takeaway for the day? So what is your fire? Because we all have one, right? What is a situation, not my touch screen doing the most? What situation are you facing that's testing your faith? And how can you stand firm and trust that God is walking through it with you? And I want y'all to remember, sometimes God doesn't pull you out, but he steps in with you. Mm-hmm. He steps in with you. And I would love if y'all would share in our comments a time that your faith was tested, but God showed up. Please, if you will, like, comment, subscribe, share. I think
all the
those wrong things.
Do all the things.
Please. We would love that. And we are looking forward to seeing you again next week on The Retelling. Thanks for listening in, guys. Bye.
He's the bread of life, Alpha and Omega, our firm foundation. Jesus! The well that never runs dry. You're still thirsty off the Henny and you wonder why. J-E-S-U-S is all you need. Wonderful counselor.